All right, friends, let's chat about it. Let's talk about the things that went well, the things that didn't go so well, the things that we changed around, and the highlights of this kindergarten homeschooling year. Welcome back to my channel, my friends. If you are new here, I am Yessi, and we are at the end of our second year homeschooling. We have two children that we homeschool. We have my daughter, who's 6 years old and is officially done with kindergarten, heading into the first grade. And then we have my son, who is 11 years old, just finished 5th grade and is heading into 6th grade. Now, both of those grades are completely different, so I am going to be doing a separate video where I talk about how our 5th grade year went. This particular video, I'm going to focus on how kindergarten went for our daughter and all the things about it. If you want to take a moment and introduce yourself in the comments, go right ahead. Let me know if you are a homeschooling family, if you're thinking of homeschooling, and what grades are you homeschooling, what curriculum are you using. I always love to hear from you and get to know you a little bit better. All right, let's dive in. First, we're going to be talking about the things that went well. Then we're going to touch a little bit on the things that didn't go so well and that we switched around. And then finally, we are going to dive into some highlights of this kindergarten homeschooling year. So first off, the things that went well. I think first and foremost, the fact that we had routines, expectations, procedures all set in place from the previous year just made this year run super smooth. The kids knew what to expect, we knew what to expect, and there was no question about it. It was just so automatic, so natural, which made me so pleased about how everything went. And when I think about comparing this year to last year there were so many issues when it came to health and different stressors like that really made our first year a tad teeny bit stressful. Not because of homeschooling, but because of everything else that was going around. And I feel like that was a super successful homeschooling year with all of that. So when I think of this year, after that being the expectation, this year was a walk in the park, my friends. So much easier, so much smoother, less stressful. It was just, I praise the Lord. I praise the Lord for the health that He gave us this year. You know, that really was something that I struggled with last year, and this year I'm just so happy and so thankful to God that I was healthy, my husband was healthy, my kids were healthy. You know, that was such a big relief this year, and it just made everything go super smooth. The next thing that really worked well for us is our curriculum choice. As you guys know, and if you don't know yet, we are an Abeka family. We love the Abeka Academy curriculum. It works so well for our family that we are using it again next year. It just fits us, and I just love that. So something that really worked for us was using that curriculum once again. And oh my goodness, I am just so impressed with the amount of growth my daughter has done this kindergarten year. She is adding, she is subtracting, she is writing so beautifully. She's so meticulous about her handwriting. She takes her sweet old time, and she wants to make sure that everything is done well, precise, and neat. That's her thing. And she will sit there and erase and rewrite. And I just love that she has developed that love for, you know, doing things with her best effort. I have loved seeing that in her. I have also loved to see the growth in her reading. My goodness. That's something I didn't have with my son because he went to traditional school, so I wasn't really a part of that. This year, I was such a huge part of her reading instruction. And to see her go from, you know, just doing CVC words at the beginning and not being so fluent to now being able to read on her own and decode and read a variety of words with different blends and different vowel combinations. it is just amazing, and she is just so proud of that. I also love how this curriculum continues to embed our faith all throughout. That's one of my favorite things about it, is that, our faith is truly woven in every single subject. And so, like, they start with Bible, and that has become one of my kids' favorite class. They love the songs, they love the stories. It's just something that we are very happy with. Another thing that went really well this year for our daughter was having her involved in our library early readers book club. She just grew so confidently in there. She was able to make some friends in those reading clubs, because it seems like, the same kiddos go to the reading clubs even though they might have different books. So I have seen her being able to blossom in that area, and she loves it. Like right now, we just picked up her library book for this month, and she's already signed up also for the next month. And she loves it. She looks forward to reading these books. She enjoys them. She goes there. She participates in the activities. She just has so much fun. And that is something that we have found out that works really well for her as well. Now, things that didn't work so well, or that we tweaked around a little bit with our daughter K5. One thing that we noticed is that she didn't want to do the reading groups with the video that they do with the teacher. She wanted to do that with me. So I think she did maybe one of the classes with them, and she was just so disinterested, and she wanted to take her time. Sometimes they went a little bit too fast. So what we decided to do was that I was going to take over phonics review and her reading group. And we established a beautiful routine after work. And I would start dinner, and then we would sit on the table and we would start our phonics review and our reading group. Sometimes if it was a quick dinner, I'd do dinner first, and then I would come and actually start working with her after dinner. But she looked forward to this time all the time. It would be like, I would be still working on dinner. Mom, when are we going to get started with my reading class? And it was like, hold on, I still have to continue working on this. But it became just such a great routine that we weren't just doing that on the weekdays. We were doing phonics review and reading in the weekends too. So I always like to say every kid learns at their own rate, So I did steer away a little bit from what the plan said per the video. So I didn't even really look at that. I took my daughter. I assessed the needs that she had. Sometimes I noticed that she was having certain confusions, specifically when it came to long vowels. So I really wanted to solidify certain concepts so that she could internalize them and actually have a concrete understanding of it. So I did spend sometimes several weeks on one particular reader, because if she struggled with a certain thing, I would reteach. We would review. I made little cards out of a little notebook that I had. Like if there was a tricky word, we would put that tricky word in there, and then we would review it every single day. If there were certain vowel combinations that she was specifically struggling with, we made sure to review that at the beginning of each one of the lessons, and that had worked so beautifully for us. It's funny because at the beginning, like, the books were so simple, and in my mind, I had seen The Last Reader. I was like, how is my kindergarten child ever going to be able to read this? My goodness, guys, by the time we made it to that book, she could do pretty much the whole book herself, because it had just built on the previous concept, and there was so much review that it was it was a natural progression. So I absolutely loved doing that with my daughter, and it also became one of my favorite parts of the day as well. Now, like I've mentioned before, every child is different. My daughter is a very active child. Her mind is always running. Even at church, she is always doing something. She's always thinking about something. She's drawing something. She's writing something. She's coloring something. She's mumbling something to herself. She's singing. Even here when we are at home, she spends so much time in her room playing with her toys, doing a lot of imaginative play. So her mind is a very curious mind, but is also a mind that is a very active mind, and she is always looking to be challenged. She loves being challenged. She loves it when something is hard. So something that my husband had noticed with her was that she was getting bored with certain portions of certain videos. So it's funny because typically kids don't want to do seat work. Like my son, he's not a big fan. However, my daughter, she always felt that there wasn't enough activity sheets, as she calls them. So my husband found himself sometimes, if she was getting, a little bit too bored with the lesson on the video, she always did the major concepts, but once the teacher starts doing certain practice things, he would stop it and he would create his own practice sheets for her. So there was times where, the addition problems on the sheets weren't enough for her. So my husband was creating additional addition or subtraction problems for her to practice on, just because she loved that challenge. She also loves writing, and penmanship was like one of her favorite things, and she has become such a perfectionist on it. So at home, when I was doing reading class with her, she always wanted some sort of a writing activity. So what I started doing was I started using the paper that came in the writing tablet to make extension prompts of whatever it was that we were reading. One last thing that we changed from last year to this year. Those of you who follow me know that I typically work with the kids in the afternoons when I get home from work and on the weekends. This year, I decided to take off Thursday afternoons. So when I would come home from work, Thursdays, I didn't do any instruction with them. If my daughter wanted something, she could do that on her own. But I just needed a day to just, and gather my thoughts, do all the things I needed to do, and just, give ourselves a break. And then Sundays also became days where we didn't do any school unless there was something that they wanted to do on their own. So that was a change from last year as well. Now to the highlights. Our daughter is a very artistic person. She actually wants to be an artist when she grows up. That's her thing. And I find that to be so awesome. And I think she gets that from her dad, because my husband is very artistic. He is very creative. He is someone who's always building something. And I feel like my daughter has gotten those creative genes from him. So this year, my daughter had her art exhibited in our What Art You art gallery, and she was so proud, guys. You should have seen her when she went to the art gallery and she saw her art there. She was just over the moon. She loved that experience so much that as soon as we left, she was like, "Mom, when's next year? Because I'm definitely going to do something next year." So I am so proud of her for that. And, just so proud to see that she is taking so much initiative in wanting to do these things. So this year, part of the things that we're doing this summer is one of the days is an art day where we devoted to some sort of an art activity. We have our acrylics, and she loves painting with acrylics. So we have that all situated, and they have their art set that they use quite often. So I'm looking for some art projects to incorporate the whole family that we can do outside. So that was a wonderful highlight. Another highlight that we had this homeschooling year was our trip to the Carnegie Science Center and our trip to the Carnegie Museum of Natural History. those were amazing experiences. We have the membership. So this summer we are definitely going to be taking a trip out there just to look at the art museum, and I think there's the Andy Warhol museum too that we also have access to. So we want to go ahead and check those out as well. So looking forward to next year. What are some things that we are going to be doing differently? Well, first of all, when it comes to our homeschooling portfolios, I have taken over pretty much putting that together last year and this year. Now that May is going into first grade and she is very reflective and takes so much pride in everything that she does, I want her to take part in creating that portfolio as well. So I'm planning every quarter. I'm going to have her select work that she is very proud of and she wants to put in her portfolio. And I want the kids to do some sort of a reflective piece to put at the end of that quarter too. I just feel that that will give them more ownership for it, and it'll be more kid created. So I feel like they're at the point that they could both do that. And so next year I am planning to do that for my kids. Also, our organization system. That stuff works amazing. If you haven't given it a try, I have several YouTube videos on how I organize our homeschool curriculum. I will also be making one for our first grade curriculum and for our sixth grade curriculum. I just have to say it is the best organizational system for our family. It works flawlessly. It is amazing. Nothing ever gets lost. Everything is so smooth. Everybody knows where everything is at. It's just such a wonderful way to organize our homeschool curriculum. So we are keeping that for next year. We are continuing to use Abeka Homeschool because it is just amazing. And I was looking at their first grade curriculum when I unboxed it and we looked at it all together, and my daughter looked at the books and she's like, I'm gonna read that in first grade. I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh boy, I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, oh, you most definitely can. So this summer she's doing different, like I mentioned, she's doing the reading club, but she's also doing some summer reading programs, and she is so motivated by that we are going to keep it going this summer. So I think that when she starts next year, she's going to be ready for it all. And when it comes to schedules and routines, we are going to keep everything the same for next year just because it works so well for our family. It just does, and everything just goes very smooth. If you guys haven't seen the day in the life video that I made before school was over, go ahead and check that out just to give you an idea of what our daily routine looks like here in our home on a daily basis when it comes to a weekday. I am going to be making a day in the life summer edition for you guys just to show you guys some of the activities we do. What does it look like for us here at home during the summer? Now, I want you to share with me what is a highlight that you had for this homeschooling year. What is something that you feel very proud of? What is something that you feel went well in your homeschool? Or if you would like to share with me something that didn't work or in something that you're planning to change for next year, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.